Well, still continuing, taking a look at security. It does affect everybody, but now we've got Jamilu Aliyu Chacharanchi, who is the Northwest Coordinator Coalition of Northern Groups, joining us from Katsina. Then we also have Oladotun Hassan, who is the Chairman Coalition of Southern Groups. He's a legal practitioner and President of Yoruba Council of Youth Worldwide. Gentlemen, good morning, and thank you both for joining
Good
us
morning.
today on the program.
It's a pleasure to be on.
All
Pleasure
right,
to be with you.
Jaminu, let me start with you. Yes, there were, well, first of all, last time we spoke some months ago, you were not exactly happy with how the state actors were approaching the security challenge that the country was facing. So, has anything changed for you?
Well, actually, what happens or what is happening today is that we are in the sorry stage. A sorry stage in the situation that when we discussed with you the other time, I told you that there are every tendencies that this history may repeat itself. And it is unfortunately that it repeats itself in Kagara today. Who knows actually what is going to happen tomorrow? What we are seeing is the way or the audacity with which these armed bandits carry their arms, move freely to terrorize towns, to massacre people and kidnap other peoples. It left you with a question: the willingness, the readiness, the sincerity, and the capacity of the government to deal with this issue. So when people are talking about where will Dr. Gumi intervene, you just have to ask yourself that is a vacuum that has been created by the government. That's why some people have to intervene. Some people are talking from far places without actually knowing what is happening in our region. We are living in a situation whereby in each and every day, if not even every hour, people are being killed, people are being kidnapped. And the readiness or the performance or the response from the government is questionable, because we are not seeing how the government will just allow people being terrorized just like this. So that's why so many people are playing from different angles and begin to intervene into this issue so that at least they will see how can they, if there is any tendencies to negotiate with these bandits, they have to do that. And these governors are left with no option, in the sense that these are the people that are being killed on daily basis, and the report directly came to them. And they are politicians. Some are willing even to go for second term and other things. So they have to do anything humanly possible to ensure that they protected their people. What is happening? Come to even the Katana state, where we see that there are a little bit peace. Today, the story is changing gradually. If you go to Sabwa, if you go to Faskari, there are so many places, or there are so many villages that have been displaced. The people are not even there. They even forgot about being there at their communities. So what is happening actually, we cannot say, because what we see is the deterioration in every aspect, socially, politically, especially in terms of security. And the security agents are everywhere. If you come to Katana, you will see so many armies everywhere. But what is happening? In fact, I had even an audio from this bandit who kidnapped the people from Kagara. He was saying that the armies are there in Kagara, but is there any shield or a wall that protect them from entering into this bush? Let them enter into the bush and see if they can do anything. These people are moving with impunity, as if they are exempted from law. These people are moving as if they are moving in a place where the government doesn't even exist. They are moving in a place whereby they think that they are the authorities rather than government being the authority. This is the situation we're in. So sometimes when I see people commenting or trying to make some observations or some resolution over this issue, I wonder if these people are actually living in the areas that this thing is happening. When someone begin to stand over TV or over a radio and begin to say this is how things should be, this is how things should be, let him come down to the grassroots and see what is actually happening. Let him come to the grassroots. Even the Minister of Defense himself said that people should come out and do this and do this and do this. Let the minister come down to the villages and see if he can do what he is asking people to do. These people are moving in hundreds, and in hundreds with sophisticated weapons all over them. And these people, in fact, when they move in hundreds with their sophisticated weapons, they even have the belief that the authorities cannot challenge them. How do you think that in a situation where people are living like this and you expected them not to do anything that is humanly possible to ensure the protection of their lives? So when people are coming to where Gumi intervenes, I do ask myself that did these people actually knows what is happening in northern Nigeria? So it's a vacuum. Had it been the government didn't fail woefully in securing our lives, Gumi wouldn't have been intervened. But Gumi had to intervene based on the sympathy he has for the people, based on the actual fact he knows that these people are being killed on daily basis, based on the belief that almost all northern Nigerian peoples have that government cannot do anything to these people because the government signify it. Because we believe that action speaks louder than voice. But is the government action speaks louder than its voice? They always claim or plot victories over media. They always say that we did this, we did this. Somebody is even citing an example with Marte. If the army or if the government knows that something is going to happen, why at the initial stage government allow the thing what happens in Marte to happen? And later on they come and claim victory that, okay, now Marte is secured. Why will you even allow at the instant? When whatever happens in Marte happens, how many people are lost? How many lives are lost? How many lives are wasted? How many properties have been destroyed?
We'll come back to you to shed some more light, on some of those matters you've raised. But let's equally get Mr. Latotu Hassan's perspective on what he thinks is going on and how these things are being handled, whether he's satisfied or not. Mr. Hassan, go ahead.
Well, I believe the situation being raised by Mr. Liu is not a sectional issue. We've always failed to address the issue of insecurity from the prism of a more ethnocentric issue. This is more a national issue that rests on the fulcrum of our nation. As of today, we have been depleted literally, we have been depleted socially, our lives are being foretold by some groups of terrorists working with arms and ammunition, unimpeded, not prosecuted or charged by any jurisdiction, calling for negotiation at the expense of lives that were being lost, claiming to be victims of extinction when they've categorically extinct millions of lives. Today, Nigerians are now thrown into an abyss of confusion. Yes, because institutions are not respected. That is why individuals like Sheikh Gumi will come to the media, give all the necessary reasons for terrorism to thrive. Because the nation sovereignty rests in the government that we invest our vote in. The government has no excuse it's an act of omission on the part of the government, which has sworn before our constitution that they will protect lives and property. But today, there is excessive failure in the land. Whereby today, where is our terrorism law? The anti-terrorism law is not having its place in the prosecution of these bandits. Where is our firearms law? It's as if the weak skin of the wielding of firearms to the four eyes of the global community today is a huge pain on our integrity as a nation, meaning we're a worthless nation that thrives on anything good. Okay. As of today, we have the ECOWAS Treaty. The movement of headers from every other region must be regulated by immigration laws. But as at date, both cattle and human are moved without caution. So,
okay, Mr. Hassan, you've raised, some important points, but we'll also try to, review your audio because it's been quite challenging getting you to pass across your message. But let's take this back to Mr. Charanchi. And, listen to Mr. Hassan. He has spoken about laws, and he says, well, this is not a sectional thing, that if we're to attack this, then we need to do it together. So when you imply that it would seem the government has abandoned the people, which is why we've seen, alternatives like negotiations, amnesty with the bandits, just to ensure that there is some peace for people to carry out their daily activities. But how do you balance this with the laws? Take it, for example, the abduction in Kagara, where a student was killed. There's a law against not just abduction, there's a law against murder. You can bring up the different charges. So how do we factor this in? Because this is a nation of laws.
Well, I believe there will still be a continuation of Kagara, of Kankara, of
Mr. Hassan. Pardon me, Mr. Hassan. This is for Mr. Charanchi. We'll get you to also respond to what he says, but let's get his response first.
Okay.
Well, actually, we all believe there is law that are guiding this land. And these laws of the land must be respected. But in a situation whereby the authorities that are supposed to ensure the respect of this law fail to do that, people, I don't think that they will just allow themselves to be murdered or being killed on daily basis. They have to create another alternative that they will save their lives. And this is exactly what people, why I'm even talking about from the northern Nigerian perception, because that's why I am more conversant with. And that's a place that I actually knows what is actually happening. I don't think there is any human being who has the human conscience, who has the human belief, who believe in service to humanity, that will see how people are being killed on daily basis and without given an option to bring an end to this menace. If the government secured the people, if the government protected the laws of the land, if the government enshrined the use of, because the fundamental of every government is to protect the life of properties. In a situation whereby the government itself failed the constitution or feels that it isn't supposed to respect the constitution, so you cannot tell the citizens whom has been killed on daily basis, murdered and kidnapped, and tell him that he has to respect the laws of the land. The laws of the land surely must be respected. But in a situation like this, one has to bring an alternative for him to survive, because the law can only be even governed. The law can only be even existent when people are alive. In a situation whereby people are not even alive, what laws are you talking about? We are talking about survival here. We are talking how to defend our lives. We are talking about life here, life in particular. So how do you think that even there will be a law when there are no people even to respect that law? When there are no people even to respect the constitution? The people who even made the constitution are not there. The people who are going to even review the constitution are no longer even in existence.
So are you
I'm
confident
telling you is that the
this
situation in northern Nigeria is so critical, is
right.
so devastating, that is going on daily basis. These things are happening. So I don't think
the question will be, Mr.
people
Charity.
in the country is that.
So the question will be, are you confident, if you can hear me, are you confident that these alternatives that are being followed through with, the negotiations, amnesty, are you confident that they will bring lasting peace in that region?
Yes,
Because like Mr. Hassan said, it's Kagara today, it was Kankara yesterday. It might be another place tomorrow, and this cycle might continue.
Exactly.
So are you confident that this will bring lasting peace?
What I'm saying is that actually, if the amnesty can bring peace in Niger Delta during Erado's administration, and the same amnesty was given to the bandit repentant during the last administration, I don't think there is any reason why you would say that the amnesty cannot be granted to the bandit, if at least they are willing to. All these issues or all this process are just window dressing. But the holistic reality is that government should stand and do their efforts. Government should do the needful and ensure that they bring this thing to an end. But in a situation like this, definitely we must do something to ensure that we safeguard the life of our people. And this is exactly what people are doing from northern Nigeria. We are just trying to ensure that we safeguard the wastage of life on a daily basis. Today, in fact, there is even news. I had a breaking news by the BBC Hausa today morning that I think there is an abduction in Zamfara state of these students. So are we just to keep on moving like this? We cannot just be going like this. What I'm saying here is that, let me just state it categorically clearly, that there is no doubt about it that President Muhammadu Buhari's administration has failed in securing the life of people, particularly those in northern Nigeria. So let me just advise Mr. President. Mr. President, please, we beg you for Allah's sake, if you know that you cannot challenge these issues and you don't have the capacity, you don't have the belief, you don't have the willingness, the readiness to challenge how things are happening in this country, please and please, we advise you that let you respect as yourself and resign from the seat of the president and allow those people that are willing to do it to come and do it wholeheartedly with all sincerity of purpose.
Because okay, Mr. Charity, let's take this to Mr. Hassan. Let's take this to Mr. Hassan now. Well, I believe the president is listening. But Mr. Hassan, regarding this issue of amnesty, yet again, the comparison with Niger Delta is coming up again. So how does that sit with you?
Well, I believe we have always been used to this cosmetic fire brigade approach in resolving issues. If Niger Delta issues were frontally addressed from the issue of economic survival and delivery of dividend of democracy, empowerment of the youth, delivery of jobs and healthcare and housing needs, and everybody is okay, there is no section of this country that will koto us into this undue influence and duress of clamoring for amnesty at the expense of criminality. I'm not a fan of the call for amnesty for these terrorists. Let the issue that have of the Niger Delta is still rearing its ugly head today because they've been found with a lot of financial augmentation to really review their frontal views that they can waylay us. This is economic sabotage. This is more of seeing us from a prism of a failing state. We are already becoming a pariah state where laws are no longer holding its weight. For us, I will not call for the resignation of Mr. President because it's a total failure as a governance from the federal to most of our governors. You see governors just chanting war-mongering songs. You see local government without no capacity. It's as if governance structure is collapsed totally. So for us to rejig this, we still need to go back to this same failing constitution that is binding all of us together. This inequality will continue to be when our threat is being championed by ethnicity, bigotry, or religion, animosity against each other. But I believe strongly the issue of insecurity is very important. And we have proposed several bills to the National Assembly from the point of the Nigeria Youth Coalition, which the Coalition of Northern Group, which is my brother there, the Coalition of Southern Group, and all other youth leaders have been discussing way forward. How do we review? Let us propose the National Youth Development Right Law. Let us propose the National Joint Regional Security Network Agency. If the OPC in the Southwest, the ISBA, and everybody jointly support the civilian JTF in the Northeast, we would have won the battle and join the Nigerian army to succumb this evil. But because
so Hassan, just hang on a minute. Let me bring in Jamilu because yesterday, I think the Coalition of Northern Groups, they had a press conference. They were talking about amnesty, which you already referenced in passing, and then they equally spoke about stopping supplies down south. But what informed those comments? And don't you think that it's going to send conflicting signals to the country or other parts of the country when we're all trying to see how we can solve this challenge out?
What will be more conflicting? What will be more conflicting than shedding blood, innocent blood, just because they are living in their region? This thing just happened few days ago or few weeks ago. Some people just because of a minor problem that can easily be solved, even between 1, 2, 3 people can be solved. But these people just tend to, even this problem is escalated just because of the political interest of some other people that they just want to jeopardize the reason. Or they think that this is the only way that they can come at the center 2023 or whatever it has been. So the approach we are given is not a violence approach, but we are sending a signal that, okay, something is wrong. All the concerned
Which people are you referring to?
Concerned bodies. The people from the southern part of the country. What happens in Shasha? This is what we are referring to. What happens to Shasha? What happens in Aba during the NSAS protest? What happens to even the Fatako during the NSAS protest? What is happening is that a slight problem in the southern part of the country, the people will just go into killing innocent people that they don't even know what North even is all about. Some people were there over 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 80 years of age. They were there. They were living. They were born there. Their fathers were born there. Their grandfathers were born there. But they are just the ancestral of Hausa community. But when a slight issue right in that region, they will just begin to massacre, kill people, destroy properties, and do all these things. So that's why we said the association of these people who travels, what do you call it, from northern part of the country, food stop and other things from the northern part of the country, they already made a statement that they called on all their members that they should stop moving the food stop from the northern part of the country to southern part of the country until this issue is addressed holistically. This is what we are saying. And what we are saying is that we back this association, we believe in them, and we believe that the strategy or the method or the way or the approach they took toward this issue is an approach that will bring a lasting solution, not only to the northern people, but to the entire region, or to the entire nation. So that's why we said it. And the issue of amnesty, as I told you, if you can grant an amnesty to some peoples and you believe that that works, so let us also apply this method to us to see whether this method also will work or what. So Mr. Hassan is talking about it's an economic issue. If you can grant amnesty for the sake of economic issue, why wouldn't you grant an amnesty for the sake of life issue? Because it's only when we have life that we will talk even about economy.
All right, let's get Mr. Hassan to respond as well. Mr. Hassan, what's your impression about what he just said?
Well, I believe it will be, it's a nomadic idea for us to shut down food supply from the north to the south, as if it's only the Southerners that are living within the southern region of the country. It will be so foolhardy for a section of an association, just like if they shut down, let the Niger Delta also shut down their oil, let the Southwest shut down their human resources, capital, and every other supplies that is the business that is thriving. Who will survive at the end of the day? This type of divisive tendencies, what I believe it's a scripted idea that will not have a way in the 21st century Nigeria. We are too sophisticated nationally now. It is beyond what we are facing as that date is a critical issue. I've raised it from the point of patriotism, of being patriotic Nigerian, not as a sectional leader or as a leader of Yoruba. I am the chairman of the coalition of Southern Group. We have the Agric Economic Zone program already, whereby over 50 million youth are already in our farms. They will produce the same thing the North to supply us. We'll get the cattle the North will serve us in a space of few months from now, or days from now. Why will anybody threaten our market? Why will anybody kowtow us to 475 billion compensation? What happened to that woman that was raped in Ekiti? What about the woman that is raped in Enugu? The people that are killed all around in our farmland, who pays their compensation? If NSAS issue is to be brought, then if it's a private thing, let everybody approach their insurance company. But if not, let the federal government sit with all nationals for a dialogue. It is a whole lot of issues have been said about the constitution, restructuring, and all that. We'll continue in the garbage in, garbage out, and appropriating and reprobating syndrome. But for me, I'm telling my brother there, your problem is my problem. If we both see the problem as common, if you continue to see the issues from sectional point of view, that until you shut down food supply, that will be hellish to those farmers, those peasant farmers in the north who suffered year in, year out of drought, out of threat of this same bandits, and now survive to have their produce for sales. And somebody saw their killings in Kogi or in Benue. Where are these associations? Did they go to the head of these farmers? Then why are they now bringing confusion? It's as if somebody somewhere just go to CAC, register an association, and call himself president and begin to address. We have had over Syria Mieti Al Association today that they are causing confusion to the nation. And they ought to have been charged for sedition. At the end of the day, the federal government, I believe such an organization that have thrown such in the media ought to be arrested for economic sabotage, because this is treasonable offense for somebody to kowtow the federal government that have invested billions into agricultural produce that the Northerners have to import to the South. It is not their prerogative. Well, the Southerners are not also lazy. So let us see it as a national problem. Let us see
Mr. Hassan,
insecurity.
We'll go to break, but gentlemen, we need to talk about solutions, and we'll take it from that perspective when we come back in a moment and get your concluding thoughts as well. Join us in a moment. Welcome back. Well, gentlemen, we'll be winding down now, but Jamilu, if young people have complained and residents of different parts of the country have complained that state actors or government is not living up to expectations, and then that they're filling them with their narrative. So should we be seen as being part of the problem? Shouldn't we be talking about solutions rather than aggravate the problem or stoke perhaps reaction from different parts, because the communication coming from you or from CNG may come across to certain people in the South as though, wait a minute, I thought young people are supposed to be seeking solutions here.
Well, just permit me to just make some clarification to Mr. Hassan regarding to the shutting down of Association of Food Stop supplying to the southern part of the country. If NLC, if ASU, if NASU, if SANU will go on strike until issues are resolved, I don't think there is anything wrong by this organization called to their members to go on strike until issues are being addressed. One. Then, well, actually, what is happening or what all we are seeing today is as a result of the failure of the government. The government failed to discharge its responsibilities. And as young people, the government succeeded because of the hardship, economic hardship we are in, because of the security situation we are in, because of even lack of food security we are in. The government has succeeded in creating some divisive in our minds, in the beliefs that I belong to this region and I belong to this region. We, at the level of the coalition of Northern Group, we don't even believe in that. What we believe is that we must work towards a united Nigeria. But while we are working towards united Nigeria, does not mean that the country must be at our expense. That is particularly people of the Northern Nigeria. If these issues are going to be addressed holistically, realistically, with all willingness and sincerity of purpose, the coalition of Northern Group or the people of Northern Nigeria don't have anything or lamentation over that matter. But to run Nigeria at our expense, this is what will not be accepted. I also want to refer to Mr. Hassan. When Sunday Iboha was moving around Ibadan and other environs to terrorize our people, to kill our people, when our properties were destroyed, I didn't hear his voice complaining that why would these people be destroyed? When it happens in Ava, where was he? But we, at the level of the coalition of Northern Group, when it was happening in southern part of the country, we came out boldly to tell our people that there should be no reprisal attack in northern part of the country. And thank God there was no reprisal attack in the northern part of the country, despite even the humiliation we have received from the people of the northern part of the country. But they believe and they agree with us. That's why there is no reprisal attack in this country. Had it been, we made a mention that there should be a reprisal attack, what do you think that the country will be at now? We believe in united Nigeria, and I don't think there is anybody who believes in this united country than the people from northern part of the country. So what we are saying is that if we are going to live as a united country, let us live as a united country with all sincerity of purpose.
Perhaps it's a good time then for maybe you and Mr. Hassan may need to exchange numbers so that we can begin to foster this bond once and for all. But I want to ask you a question, Mr. Charanchi. How are these people recruited? And what do you think we can do to stop that? Because definitely they came from somewhere.
I didn't get you.
I said, how are these bandits? Clearly, they are being recruited by some people. These criminals, these terrorists, whatever we want to call them, how are they being recruited? Any idea what is it that makes them vulnerable to go into these kinds of activities that they go into? And what can we do to stop that?
So that's why we are saying it is high time to reorient these people. Let them have reorientation. Because whatever it is, maybe someone has tampered with their psyche.
Just a moment. This is after the fact. But in order to ensure that this does not happen again, because as the governor of Kaduna State said, you can't, go ask these same people to go back into earning 1,000, 2,000 naira a day when they have tasted what it means to earn the big bucks. But in order for us not to even get there in the first place, how, in your opinion, do you think they are being recruited ab initio before they become what they have become? Because if they have satisfaction previously, they won't have to go there.
Well, actually, what happens... at the initial stage is that these people have been abandoned as if they are not even part of the country. They have been abandoned in a situation whereby they don't have even the Western and the Islamic knowledge in the northern part of the country. These people, they don't even have the social amenities. These people, it reached to an extent that these people are being extorted by both the security agent, judiciary, and the traditional rulers in our communities. These people, it reached a level whereby when these people are moving with their cattle, they even reach a situation whereby they don't even have the cattle. So if there is any people, or there are anybody, or there are any institution that instigate all these things to happen, I can tell you that traditional rulers must be blamed. Security agents must be blamed, and judiciary also must be blamed. These are the people that when they go, or when they have a slight case and they decided to move into either the police station or wherever, or judiciary, or to the traditional ruler, they have been extorted to an extent that they have to sell their cow to go and rescue themselves, or to go and get at the bail of their brother. So this is what puts them. But previous administration has even tried. The previous administration has even tried by creating a nomadic institution. And this nomadic institution, shamefully, was held firstly by the northerner. But what this nomadic institution did, they did nothing. This nomadic institution, nomadic education, and other things, they abandoned these people.
Perhaps this is calling for some attention. Yes. This has also been communicated by some other leaders previously, but let me take this back to Mr. Hassan. Now, first of all, what do you think of what he has said? Because if that kind of thing happens in the South as well, I don't know what's going to happen. So what do you think we can do to resolve these vulnerabilities of people going against the state, so to speak?
Well, I believe I've raised it earlier, and I'm still continuing to raise it. My brother over there and all other northerners are having this psyche of we are the masters, they are the servants. We cannot run a country on a master-servant relationship. We are all equal. An issue of this magnitude occur.
Well, Mr. Hassan, sincere apologies, Mr. Hassan. We just the volume just faded off, and we couldn't make out what you're saying. But I'm afraid it coincides with when we just need to wrap it all up. But hopefully, your messages, gentlemen, have been passed across. Jamilu Aliyu Charanchi is a Northwest Coordinator, Coalition of Northern Groups. He joined us from Katsina. We also have had Oladotu Hassan, the Chairman, Coalition of Southern Groups, and also President, Yoruba Council of Youth Worldwide. He's also a legal practitioner. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for talking to us this morning.